Yo, yo. How's it going, brother? Just setting up. Gotta try to get this going. You can hear me perfectly? Oh, that's perfect. Alright, I'm gonna start. What's up, brother? I'm gonna start with ES on the weekly. How's the quality? You can see the chart good? Broke out on this weekly level. Pretty strong. You can see us retesting it. I just do the weekly levels just to see where we are. Have it on recording if some people want to have this level. 4466. Pretty big level. But yeah, let's get into the daily zones now. Like how the odds we broke out just before a long weekend, so now the volume looks like it's dead on a retest. I don't believe in coincidences. Broke out of this daily level as well. We still got the same level. So on the weekly and daily, that is our top of my demand zone. And then we got the 4432.25 as the bottom of the daily zone. Break below that. Don't see much. Just this area that we consolidated around. If we do break below this, definitely would be targeting 4352.5. And then if we go back up, there's a few things. I have this level as a real true supply zone, but there is this previous demand turn supply. Which we came very close to tapping it on Friday. You can see how this was our previous demand. Got a small reaction. Not a small reaction, pretty big actually. 157 points. And then we came back and broke it pretty strongly there, so not shocked that just even getting close to it we got a rejection. Seeing the size of these candles, there should be more orders still left up there, so definitely if we go back up there, I do expect another rejection. Might take a few rejections. We haven't actually tapped into this orders for a while now. We never actually came back to it till last Friday. And then definitely more orders up here. Definitely would look for a stronger rejection up at top of this area. So below 44.32. I just shaded out darker to differentiate between the daily and the hourly. $44.26. Appreciate you, DJ. Trying to find a bounce level in this area here. This consolidation area. Looks like we're just holding right there. This will be a strong area here. Probably last line. Break below here. Got a shot at testing the bottom of that demand for pre-market. I have another consolidation area. So if I do see a break below here, these are my trim levels, areas that might be potential bounce levels. Such a large demand. Glad that it kind of gotten more compressed over here. Definitely be interested still to see this level. Such a large move on Thursday. I'm probably not going to take a lot of positions in this area here. Just seeing how this bounced around. If anything, I'm trying to be in a position below 44.27 with a stop of 44.27, targeting 44.06, but there could be a lot of games played in this area here. Just seeing how we consolidated here. And then for the upside, of course, but the same range. So when we're in these type of areas, I look to say other tickers like SPY, QQQ, NQ if they have more defined levels in between here. I won't definitely base a trade in this area if I'm not in one off of ES. But if we could get to in here, or we get it to the daily zone or supply zone, I'm definitely trying to take a position off of ES. And if we do get somehow broken below this level, appreciate you, man. If we break this daily zone here, I do feel that we'll get a bounce here back in to retest this as a supply just to solidify it so we can get some kind of price action like this. If we do break below, I am anticipating something like this where I will take this bounce back in here, test this as resistance. The next time we come back down below here, I am targeting here with trims in this area and here. But that's not guaranteed, it's just having a plan. We can obviously, from this move here, just keep going. So you want to stay patient when we come back to do the retest. Let the market decide where it wants to go once if it does come back, but I am bouncing ES off of here. And this will be the confliction point right here, I believe. So for next week, we should get this move here. And if they do stop out a lot of shorts or whatever side it is, people trying to go long in this area and they get stopped out, we can catch a full ride down to 43.52. That is my game plan for ES coming into this week. So break below here, but this first move is critical. This move has to happen first. We can easily just wake up in the morning and head straight back up. I never try to force my position on the market. That doesn't work. I don't have the position size. I just let the market go where it wants and I try to follow suit, but I do have game plans for whatever way it wants to go. So break above 44.66.5. I am aiming for this as my final price target. If we come here, I am trying to be in puts, aiming for a bounce level down here where I will trim out mostly, and if it wants to continue down, I'm okay with that as well. I'm not going to try to front run this area. I'll stay patient. If I do have to take a position to test the bounce, I am testing at lower. I would definitely try to test this right at the top. And if the top doesn't work, I'm staying patient, waiting for the bottom to touch or break, or waiting for it to bounce back out. SPY is next on my chart, but yeah, that's my game plan for ES for this week coming up. Let's get into SPY now. So as you guys know, every week, I start fresh, try to stay no bias, see how the charts are, how it played out last week. Should be pretty similar to ES. So I'm going to speed this one up a little faster. This is on the weekly time frame, just like ES, where we got that break above. This one's a lot closer to its weekly than ES is. So just looking at this, we've had some strong momentum on a larger volume. So look to see if they want to make an indecision candle this week or slightly bullish candle this week. We'll see. Once again, we broke above this zone. I spoke about it last week. We finally got it. It was only a matter of time. See, for SPY, I did not do that. ES, I was able to do that because of how large it was in the zone. But for SPY, I actually went to the hourly zone above. We got that perfect 443 level I was looking for all week. So we exactly like you seen it. We were sitting right here and we got that break, and as anticipated we went right to the next zone. So here pretty similar to ES again. Pretty much same price movements. See why I was looking for 439 on Friday. We got that tap right at the end. Bounced up. Now coming into this week, I don't really have much of a zone here. This is overlapping, so when I do see a zone overlapping, I just basically I leave the top inside the zone and mark out how I usually do. So typically how I would have this zone drawn out would be just like that and have that as a supply, but you can see how it's overlapping. And if you guys have ever watched any of my other videos, once we get into this zone here, if we come back up above 441, I feel like it will be a trend day up. We will trend. We could get this rejection, but I'll go through the game plan right after I finish the levels. Overlapping zones I've always seen is where majority of our trend days happen, just because there is too much support or resistance levels in that small congested area that they just usually just break those levels and just slowly trend. Could be up or down. So again, below here, just like ES, it's going to be very tricky to play. You're going to want to be in a position if this breaks below. You don't want to take it in here. Can chop around, can come back, can bounce. But if you have that cushion where you're already in a position off of here and get a nice trim somewhere in the middle, you can let it play out. But here is the final target if we break here. So just like ES, actually, let's pull up ES again. See, ES, I'm going to assume it's going to be just around the same time we get in here, where we'll probably trend up if we break above here. I'm assuming that'll be the same time SPY comes into here, where the fun will start. You'll see a trend day up, but I'm not sure they're going to let us get into this zone here. But as you can see how there's tight levels between it, this is when they usually always do the trend moves. So we can see a move in here, reject lower. This is when I confirm a trend day. If we see this happen, you're going to see something like this happen. If you see this pattern happening, where they bounce this level right here, where this is usually a zone, that's just like us bouncing inside this supply zone. So if we come here halfway and they hold this level, what's the next thing? They're gonna want to go back up and test for higher lows, right? And higher highs. So you can pretty much say that same principle will be in effect right here, and they usually do it right under a supply zone more times than the demand zone, but it works the same way with the demand zone. Most of our trend days, if you go back and look at it and have your zones drawn out, they're usually an overlapping demand zone where they'll reject the top of the hourly demand zone and come into the daily and just grind down all day. So something that I've just noticed, and I've actually been proactive at trading that in the past, it's usually has, because like I would always normally would play this for down here to go further down, but once I see an overlapping zone, I treat this level very strongly. So most likely I might actually play this upside break here and just hold and have my stop right here. If we do break here, that's when I'll get out, and that's when I could target down here. That's once we get into this daily supply and we come back and break below this hourly supply, that's when I'll start targeting the lower demands. But just keep an eye out on that don't get caught in that trend move if we do trend up. See them maybe trending us up beginning of the week and squeezing us down at the end, but we'll let the market decide. Well, if we break above here and hold this level here, 4,500 is the goal, where we can see a massive reaction there. So that is my levels for SPY. Let's get into SPX now. Do you have any 1 hour zones on the daily supply? Actually, I never did any levels inside the supply here. Sorry. Yes, I do actually have a few in here. I have one at 447. I have this one right here. So like I've stopped drawing zones inside dailies. I really just so like here this would be a zone how I would draw it, but instead of using the box, I just mark out the bottom of the zone. So 448, and I'm definitely going to look at this level here. And if you look at it, kind of looks like it's a zone here, but you see how this was level that gapped up, retested, and then broke and never came back to retest. When you play those daily zones, how do you decide to play puts at the bottom of the daily supply or to test calls? Well, if it's the first time we ever get there, I will definitely test puts. But the more times we get in there, I'm just thinking of the psychology of buyers and sellers revisiting the same price over and over again. I'm not gonna feel as strongly about the same level having the same reaction. If anything, I feel that it gets weaker every time we go back. So, or buyers or sellers just get, I just call it fatigue. They want to see new price movements or new price. So I definitely would first test puts, as you guys will see here. First time we've been in this zone since April. Testing puts was the first move. Here, of course, after rejection, we look for the retest, and we got that move. But now that we're bouncing here, or we did, but we'll see if we continue. If we continue back up, I'm not going to feel as strongly of a rejection at this same level as I did the first time we came in there. Would you take puts before the bottom of the zone break? So if I had a level, say, all the way up here, I would not just take puts. I would take puts right here, right at the entry point. And if you can see this reaction, I always use the 5 minutes. I would let this 5 minute candle form, and if it closed above like it did, I would be getting ready to get out of that position. But as you can see right away, we got that move out. And plus, seeing this as the first time we've ever been there, if I've seen this candle coming in and engulfing this, getting the bearish engulfing candle, I'll definitely give myself a little bit more room. Probably back to the higher day break. And I'll just let this play out to see if any of them will actually give us some strength to break back above. But just because this area is so fresh, brand new zone, I would give myself a little bit more room for that reaction. But I will not play this level like this again. Do I play double tops for more confirmation? No, I do not play double tops. Yes, I look for it to test a little deeper in the zone. See, this is a double. If you mean a double top here like this, I get it. But see how they did not even want to get that price back up to here. That's not the same market conditions. Hasn't worked out so well. Usually it's going deeper into the zone every time we get back in there. As you will see, most likely if we do come back this week, that it not gonna be impossible. I'm not gonna say it won't happen, but it'll be less probability that we'll reject here. And if we do break the structure of lower highs, I'm looking to see us make higher highs, and we will most likely get above these resistance levels. But again, 441.74. If we break above there, look for a move back up here with some trim levels along the way. But 443 will be my target. Definitely in this consolidation areas would be a trim level. Yep. There is that consolidation area here again. I'm definitely going to hold majority of my position. That is the levels I'm looking forward to this week. So you can see in here, I'd like to see a rejection up here. If we break above here, this is where I would like to see the reaction, where I'll trim mostly all my calls. And then we'll probably get a pullback to test the bottom of the daily or just above the recent highs here. And then we can go back up above. Yep, 443.8. We'll definitely get some reactions here, but I'm going to be holding my positions. I'm going to be targeting this area. I'm going to say they reserve this sometime this week. We'll see. But if we break below here, it'll be just as equally as opportunistic for us. So let the market decide. It'll be fun either way. See how SPX is looking like. Same thing with SPX as ES and SPY. Got that nice break on the weekly. That was a good break. Above 43.25. We got some ways to go. But we can always retest, right? So we break a zone, we can retest before we get to the next zone. And that's what it looks like it's doing. Looks like it wants to retest that daily. Probably. $43.25. I'll remember that. Not going to say that we pulled back all the way down there, but Ghostz, when you do your weekly zones come into play if you go based off daily and hourly strictly? Well, my weekly zones just gives me a broader The problem with SPX, I play zero DTEs. I can't wait for that move. I can't wait for that move for the weekly zones to get there. Even though I know that it wants to get to that level, I probably will not position myself because of the zero DTEs that I play with. But if we're about 10 points or 20 points off of the weekly zone, I know that there's like a weekly demand or a weekly supply. I'm getting positioned to see myself like this one was a weekly and a daily top, the 43.25. Once we got above 43.25, it was a good idea to be in some calls. And it's just that's how I kind of use it. I don't try to solely enter positions. I used to swing a lot of further out contracts. That's when your weekly zones would come into play. Oh, what am I doing? This is such a large zone. Not sure how to play this one on SPX. Even though we got a nice rejection off of this previous demand. That lined up perfect too, right? Wow. Can't play it that way though. This is more of a supply. This will be a pretty tricky level off of SPX. Definitely have to use hourly. Daily is a little confusing. This level is very clear. $43.90. Our good old 43.90 level. So I'm definitely going to be using that hourly. Yeah, it doesn't have that pre-market, so you definitely have to go into the hourly time frame to get a good sense of SPX. So normally, so we do have an overlapping zone here. I bet you we trended up once we broke above here. Let's see if I can see if that actually played out that way. So that is an overlapping zone. So what did we do once we got above these levels here? How was the price action? So here's the overlapping zone. We came, rejected, came back, it held. As you can see, we trended up. So this is the type of movement. Once it reclaimed that level, as you can see, we just trended up. That is the power of overlapping zones. Something that I've seen happen countless times. So I'm anticipating one on SPY and ES now. And I'll be watching to see So they'll probably defend that levels that I was showing you on ES and SPY. They don't want this to happen, so we could see that move in acceleration down if they don't want this to happen. But yeah, that's a pretty close example of how the overlapping zones start a trend day. Yeah, once again, that is the overlapping zone. Rejected to T. So now, seeing that, these are my levels for SPX 4489. You guys can see why I did this zone as well. So this would be my zone here. I don't do I don't draw zones, hourly zones inside the daily. So instead, take the bullish point, 41. Yeah, these are my levels for SPX. And then again, same thing. We got another almost overlapping, pretty close. We almost had another one. Oh, we'll get another strong. If we get another break above this zone here, we're gonna get another strong move. Things will get interesting. So you can see how that level reacted. So I'm anticipating a bounce here. 4397.5. And of course, if we reject down below this level here, we can obviously target this gap area, even though it did fill. Potential area to reclaim as support, tested as a support, or it probably breaks down and we get this level in here. Do I think it's impossible that we drop another 60 points? No. But I do anticipate a bounce in this zone here. 4312. I can see them testing this level here. Gapped above, bounce, held. That's my levels for SPX. 4500. If we bounce down here, 4500, 4488, 89 will be my level. Yeah, 4325 will be the top of that demand, where I do expect a bounce in this zone here. But we're in such a large supply zone on SPX. Definitely got to stay patient. So my strong level, so seeing SPX, to go over the scenarios, I like to see right at this level right here, this 4390 level. That'll be a key level to watch. You can either go two ways. I do anticipate a larger move if we bounce here. Actually, seeing how we rejected there, I'm gonna update my levels. $44.18. As you guys can see how this would be my zone. Like that. But instead I don't draw zones anymore on the hourly inside the daily. So I got my top and bottom. In between, not really gonna do much. Those are good levels to have for this week. So I expect that to happen. If we don't bounce there, break here, come back, retest. Could potentially come up to the top of here, but ultimately work our way down into this zone. Yes, Gabrielle, is most times we do. So since this we broke out of this range, we haven't came back. So everybody's anticipating that pullback. Um, I'm not just gonna front run it. I'm not gonna start the trend, but I'll follow it. What I would like to see to do what you're explaining and what you just asked is we need that rejection here, we need that retest, and we need to come down here. That'll pick up these orders that we left off. But before that, every other big move has been, as you can see, orders picked up. Just this recent 4 weeks, we haven't done any pullback, so that's why a lot of people have positioned themselves a little ahead of themselves. And the market's irrational. Will stay irrational longer than you can stay rational. So just want to play the levels. If they want to do the pullback, I'll join in. But until then, I'll keep picking up money off the floor. So yeah, that's my game plan for SPX this week. And then I'll probably just chart out QQQ. Just to keep an eye on what the tech sector is doing. Pretty much led the charge the whole way. When they pull back, most likely we'll get our pullback. So yeah, they got into their weekly supply. And this is that part I was looking at this earlier. Not sure if this is a break. Very close though. Very close to a break. If it is a break, it'll complete all the weekly zone breaks. This one did hold itself. So 371.83. Next time we break above there, we're pretty much at all-time high supply. That's the next step. So that's wild to say, but QQQ's next supply zone will be the all-time highs. Unreal. So this zone here, I'm not 100% sure if this is still a demand or a supply. Technically, we did break above it for 5 minutes. That's usually what I count for a break, but such a strong rejection. Would I be shocked if we bounce out? No, but if I do see, I am setting up an alert on 371.83. When adding to a trade on a pullback, how do you know it's a pullback, not a rejection? So my fundamentals of supply and demand tell me when it's not a pullback. So a pullback is just it coming back to its demand zone. So breaking out of a demand or breaking out of a supply now turned into demand, and then I'll have a bounce level inside there. But realistically, until that demand zone breaks, it's still a demand zone. So you can wait for the pullback to finish and wait for it to bounce out, or you can wait for the pullback to show itself as a true downtrend by breaking below your demand zone. So that's how I know. But until it breaks that demand zone, it is a pullback for me. I'll just reposition myself. So if I do take, so say this broke out, I wasn't playing QQQ, but if I was to play this as a demand zone retest or a supply turned to a demand, I would try to bounce it here, closed inside the zone, I'd get out. I'd reposition, wait for myself. I'd have a couple levels charted out here, or I would just wait for it to bounce back out, and that would complete the pullback. I appreciate that, Gabriel. So Steve, does that kind of help you see what I mean about when a pullback is a pullback and not a rejection? Oh, how do you know trade on a pullback? How do you know it is a pull? Yeah, so I think you mean downtrend, because it is a rejection. That's the only way you can get a pullback. It rejects a level, which you're anticipating it for it to reject, but to call it a downtrend, I would definitely have to see it break a demand zone or a support. But honestly, I would still consider that, because every way I play supply and demand is if we do reject the supply and it does break an hourly demand, I'm aiming for the next hourly zone and then the daily demand zone. But that is completes the cycle for me as left orders breaking a supply. And that's when it turns into a demand. Going to the next supply zone, rejecting, and coming back to pick up orders. That's a complete cycle for me. So rejecting that supply zone, I consider a pullback, but am I going to play 0 DTE for a daily demand $11 down? No, I'm not going to try to hold my calls for that. I'd reposition myself, play puts for that move to get to my level where I feel like that's the end of the pullback, and then I will continue my thesis that it's still a pullback until it breaks that demand, and then I'll go heavier on the downside move. So back to QQQ. We did the weekly zones, but now let's go into how we broke out of some. So yeah, I'm probably gonna anticipate that level as broken. Just to be on the safe side, I'm not gonna try to front run a downtrend move. That's not there yet. So 365.46 looks like a potential bounce level. Keep an eye on that. And then of course, we do got our true supply zone above. At 385. Wow. Okay. And if we do break below here, don't got much. Could be a steep fall for QQQ if it doesn't hold 365. Retrace all of that. Okay, that's fun. Interactive broker wants to reset me. Alright, we're back. So yeah, QQQ looks like it's gonna be definitely hourly. Daily I do not have much. Like this is my next daily zone. Not to say that it will come all the way down here, but that is my next real. This was just a steady trend up. No problem, DJ. So yeah, this was just a steady move up, so I can't really see where there's a trend move change here, so I can't consider any of this as a daily real demand or trend change. So you're gonna have to be very cautious when you're playing QQQ. If we do break below 365, not sure where these buyers will be satisfied with the pullback or when they will come back in, but it could be some time before a lot of games will be played for sure. So I would have to say here is one definitive zone. Another one. I would assume this would be an area I would get a good bounce right away. I might front run some calls if I see it break above this level here, 370. Because this is my zone right here, but it's overlapping. So I'd stay patient in this area. So these are not areas where I feel strong enough to take positions. Like I would take a position here if this was the only move we got all day. But these levels that I'm going to mark here, they're more for areas where I trim. So you can see how we got these long wicks here. So you want to find these areas where you feel comfortable. Like that's almost a $2 move on QQQ. Like we're going to get most likely some reaction here off of these wicks. Some orders will be sitting here, so you do want to trim into strength. If we do get that move into this level here, you want to trim into strength. Same vice versa if you're in position for these levels here. We break above 371 though. Let's see what we have going above this zone. I bet you we rejected right here. No, but that'll be the next area. I would definitely look to trim. These are my levels. No, I do not take any positions off. I watch it though. Well, I don't watch QQQ as much, but I watch NQ, which I'm gonna do next right now. But I do watch. It was so hard not to use QQQ as Confluence because just the strength it had. But I don't take any actual positions off of QQQ or NQ or trade them for that fact. But I do have him as a Confluence. So those areas where I was explaining on ES, where we could be trading, say, like somewhere right in this area here, I'll definitely be looking to see, because say we break down here, we'll probably be here. I'm gonna look on on QQQ to see if we're close to this level here. So you see where ES will be there. So I'll be watching NQ at the same time. This is definitely where I would definitely say, okay, we could probably be bouncing here, and then I would know why ES is bouncing. Probably the same time as now QQQ's gained some strength, but that's how I use it as a confluence. Appreciate that, WS. So that's QQQ. We're gonna get into our final major confluence ticker, and then I'll look at VIX as well. So NQ's price action is a little more cleaner. Wow. Just seeing that candle is just unreal. Yeah. NQ has reached its supply zone. If you guys were watching any of my recent or previous prep videos, I was talking about NQ going to this supply zone. Now we're well in there. So very easily recognizable zones on the weekly. Break a zone, go to the next. We got there perfectly. That's interesting. But it was a shorter week, so very respected. Yeah, Dylan, that was a nice rejection they had. No problem, brother. Appreciate you being here. Again, more hourly zones than daily, just because the trend was never changed for a while. So if I would have to choose a zone that we can get a pullback to, it would definitely be here. So yeah, volume is actually should be a key thing for a lot of people, but some people don't use it. Um, it helps me identify false breakouts. So if I don't see a strong candle, so this candle breaking out on this area, or let's look at, yeah, so that was the candle. You can see how these two candles here breaking in and out was stronger than pretty much the last relative week. Those will show me that this breaking this supply zone here with that volume showed me that there's a good chance it would have a continuation to get up to that zone above. So that's how I use it. I use it also on the 5 minutes to confirm it. Go back, check it on the daily. If we break a daily zone, see, okay, how was the overall volume on the day? And that's how I use volume as part of my strategy, Gabriel. Come on, load up. Alright, so and Q doesn't want to load the rest of the charts. I can get some hourly levels. Oh man. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I can't get to my hourly levels. That's that's fun. So kind of conflicted here. We did get a nice rejection here off of this zone, but I wanted to keep my daily zone here because I seen it on the hourly here. It is overlapping zone, so if we do break back in it, I am looking to see us trend up. So we got a lot of overlapping zones, supply zones coming up. Could cause that melt up. Some people are anticipating, but we'll see. If I do get my charts working on the hourly, since it wants to give me all my daily levels but not the hourly, I will post that on my Instagram. Let's try this one more time. Ah, it's not working. I'm sorry guys. Well, let's get into VIX, the last one I'm looking at for the night. I know you trade what the market gives you goes, but from your knowledge, how do you see us going forward, at least for this week? So, Gabriel, I never look at it like that. I always look at it as having a scenario in my plan where if it does go that way, I know where my stops are going to be. I know where my profit taking is going to be. I know what position I'm going to take. And that's how I come into the week every time. I kind of gave a few of those scenarios out on ES, SPY, um, and SPX. So that's the best way to look at it. If you ever go into the week with having or thinking that you know what the market's gonna do, it'll humble you very fast. But if you have scenarios and then you just play with the scenario that starts to form and you just play that out the way you planned it, then you'll be much happier with the results. If that makes sense. So that's why you see a lot of people. I do have a trading journal as well. I write down these scenarios. I try to record it. I'll rewatch it. Exactly. You know where. That's why a lot of people probably have seen me coming out with a lot of bullish setups. But as if you can see in the charts, I was rightfully so bullish. I wasn't trying to be bullish by being against puts. No, I like money, period. So if the charts are telling me we're going to be bullish, and that's the scenario that starts to form throughout the week, if we start seeing us bouncing inside of a supply zone, I'm thinking we're going to break that supply zone. If we bounce a hourly demand, I'm going to think we're going to keep going higher now. Those are the things that led me to being more on the upside setups. But if we start breaking down, I'll definitely switch my bias. Well, not bias. I'll just start playing the downside wherever the risk reward is. Okay, so I think my whole advanced charts are not working anymore. And that's where I'll probably end tonight. Do appreciate you guys. No, I do not. I do not pay attention to news. I know we should be at 2800 with all the bad news out there, but we're sitting at 4400, so if that doesn't tell you don't pay attention to the news, I don't know what else can. But I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Hope you guys gained some knowledge, got some levels. Hope these levels make you guys a lot of money this week. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys.